it's not about lowering your prices as much as it is increasing what you're giving them.
Okay.
And you can do that with intangibles, such as showing them that you care, such as responding to them, such as giving them an outlet to communicate with you and in real time communicating back.
Welcome to the Prosper Brief. Today, we're thrilled to have Zack Oates with us, an entrepreneur, author, and industry leader who's redefining customer engagement. Get ready for insights that will transform the way you connect with your audience. Today's episode is brought to you by Ovation, the #1 guest feedback platform for restaurants. Do you want real-time insights and to build stronger connections with your customers? Ovation lets you get instant feedback, resolve issues quickly, and boost all those important online reviews, all in one easy-to-use app. Discover how Ovation can help your restaurant grow at ovationup.com. Give your guests a voice with Ovation.
Well, welcome to the Prosper Brief. I appreciate, Zack, that you're taking some time out of the forum here to join us. Could you tell us a little bit about Ovation?
Yeah, so Ovation is a guest feedback platform for multi-unit restaurants. So we focus on the whole feedback life cycle of how do you collect feedback? How do you recover an unhappy guest? How do you activate a happy guest? And then how do you take that feedback and operationalize it, not just from the standpoint of trends, but also from the standpoint of how do you fix things at the location? And then track the improvement based on the feedback. And so that's the whole crux of Ovation, is we want to turn feedback into revenue and into operational excellence.
Okay, so it's all based on customer feedback then,
Yes.
Collecting the feedback. So it sounds great, but operationally, I'm running a restaurant. That sounds complicated to start gathering feedback. How do you collect the feedback?
So I come at it, this is my third startup, and I come at this from a consumer standpoint of, I started Ovation with the guest in mind. So we interviewed the guest and we said, how do you want to give feedback? And what we found was, interestingly enough, nobody wants to take your long, dumb survey.
Right.
Nobody wants to take it, right? It's a 50-question survey just to be told,
Right.
you missed my fries. That's not what they want. So they want it to be quick. They want it to be simple. And that's why people turn to online reviews, is because it's quick and simple. But what people understand inherently is that online reviews do hurt businesses, and people are 3 times more likely to leave a negative review than a positive one. And every negative review loses you 30 customers. So people are less likely to give you that feedback through an online review. So what do? They just don't say anything.
Oh.
So at Ovation, we have over 100 different ways for guests to take the survey. And the whole concept is, how did we do 2 questions for your chance to win a $100 gift card? So they know what the question is going to be. They know how long it's going to take them, and they know what's in it for them. And they get that delivered through email, through text messages after an online order. They see QR codes on the table, window clings at the drive-thru, a bag stuffer for third-party orders, table toppers, posters. Like, there's so many different ways, depending on, is it a QSR, fast casual, fine dining? But the whole concept is, we want to let guests know that it's really, really easy for them to give feedback.
Okay.
Even we have a phone system if they call in, a website connection if they're on the website looking to give feedback. So however that guest is trying to give feedback, we want to make it easy for them. Because the more frictionless you make it for the guest, the more feedback you're going to get, the more benefits come from it.
That's great. The other benefit too, I could see, you mentioned email. If you could get the guest email through this feedback process too, that's a valuable piece of information.
100%. So you scan the QR code to give feedback, and hey, didn't have a great experience because of XYZ, or maybe I had a great experience because of ABC. Either way, we're going to ask for that customer's contact information, and then that they're also opting in to receive follow-up messages from you. And so then, boom, it's enhancing your marketing opt-in. We're pushing people to download loyalty apps. We're adding them to the email marketing group. While we are not a marketing company, we have tools that help marketing. And and we do have text marketing tools.
Okay. Well, I would argue you are a marketing company.
Interestingly enough, I was talking with one of our customers, and after an evaluation of everybody on the market, their whole concept was, we want something that's not just going to be a survey tool, but is going to be a revenue generator. And he goes, just to let you know, I know you're an operations tool, but to us, you're a marketing tool. You are more valuable than our loyalty program because you're driving more revenue.
Yeah, I could see it. Email and texts.
Yeah.
Text messaging is coming around a lot of, I'm subscribing to a lot more. What's the trend there? Do you see any trend? And I've got mixed thoughts too. The old emailing marketing database has been pretty fruitful, I think, for a lot of operators as well.
I don't think it's an either or. As with most things now with multi-channel messaging, it's both.
Okay.
Because you have people that want to keep an email contact, and you have people that want to do text messaging. In fact, they did a recent study about what is the preference of consumers to engage with brands, and the number one preferred method was text. Why? Text has a 98% open rate. 93% of text messages are read within 3 minutes. It is a way that you communicate if you need something immediately, such as real-time resolutions. And so what's happening is our customers who use like our call to text solution, by the way, they'll call the store. And by the way, you can tell how old I am because this is a phone. My kids do this, right? My parents do this. But they'll call the store, press 3 to give feedback, and boom, they get a text message with the link to Ovation to give that feedback. And then on the Ovation side, the team, the brand's team, either the GM or someone at corporate, is empowered to engage with that guest in real time. Email is not a real-time communication. If you're having a party next week, great. You could send an email out saying, hey, there's a party next week, mark your calendars. If you're having a party tonight, are you sending an email to people? No, you're texting them, right? Because you don't know if people are busy. You don't want to call them. People don't like getting phone calls anymore. They want to get text messages. And people tell me all the time, Zach, I don't want to send text messages because I don't like getting text messages. I'm like, great. Do you like anchovies on your pizza? No. Well, some people do. Right? And so it's a matter of we need to meet the guest where they are at.
Same with marketing. Whatever social media platform you prefer, you don't like, it doesn't matter. It's where your customers are.
Exactly.
You need to meet them there. So that's amazing. What other trends are you seeing that are playing out really well in the industry right now? Any top trends on your mind right now that you're noticing, that you're starting to think about?
Value. Value is on the top of everyone's mind in the industry, out of the industry. People are talking, thinking, dreaming about value. And now, how do we increase the value of our brand? One of the great ways to do that is through guest experience. Now, I'm not saying that we need to go and put on an entire show for someone and do a whole, teppanyaki at home. Let's send the chef over to cook it real time so it doesn't deal with a DoorDash, drive. But it's about how do you, how are you there for them, and how do they know that you're there for them? So, for example, one of the things that we've seen is that a happy guest, or the average customer, has a 30% retention rate. If they have a great experience, that jumps from 30% to 60%. If they have a negative experience, it drops down to 13%. But if they have a negative experience and let's say, they thought something was off with the value, or they thought that you got the fries wrong, they didn't get what they paid for, then guess what happens? If you respond to them in a way that is adequate to win them back, and at Ovation, we have a ton of AI tools to help win that guest back. It doesn't go to 30%. It doesn't go to 68%. Sorry, it doesn't go to 60%. It goes to 68%, 8% more than the happy guests. And they spend $5 more per visit. They come in 4 times more frequently, and they're 12 times more likely to become an advocate and leave you a 5-star review. So what I'm saying is, while value is the thing that people are increasingly complaining about, it's not about lowering your prices as much as it is increasing what you're giving them. And you can do that with intangibles, such as showing them that you care, such as responding to them, such as giving them an outlet to communicate with you and in real time communicating back. And if you have a simple tool that allows you to do that, we found that people are way more forgiving of things like spending a little bit more money, or if something was wrong with the money that they did spend.
Okay. Now, that sounds great in practice, but it sounds like a couple of things. It could be difficult if you're asking the customer for feedback through your technology. You've got to act on that feedback then. If you're getting that and you don't do anything with it, you could be making the customer even more mad.
But I will tell you though, here's the secret. Guest expectations are rock bottom. Their expectations of you responding to them, of you reading that feedback, are so low. And the way that we've designed our system is that the guest doesn't realize that anything's going to happen. They think they give the feedback. And what happens with every long survey that you've ever taken in your life?
Nothing.
It goes into some black box.
Right.
And it like sits there, and then maybe at the end of the quarter, somebody reads it and it gets aggregated up. But like, you become a statistic of, however many people took that survey.
Right.
At Ovation, when you respond to that guest, the number one word that we get back from customers. So let's say you give me feedback and I respond to you. The number one word that comes back is wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't believe that someone actually responded to this.
Right.
I can't believe, are you a real person?
Right.
Like, people ask it all the time.
Right.
And the GMs are able to say, yeah, I am. Just like, hey, just wanted to say sorry and thank you for giving us another shot. That humanization, getting back to like what hospitality is all about.
Basic hospitality.
We have the trademark for digital table touch, because you want to go up and say, how was everything? And in a genuine, honest way, get that feedback.
Yep.
And I recently had Will Guidera on my podcast, and we chatted about the difference between service and hospitality.
Yeah.
You can give someone the right food at the right time, at the right temperature, but how do they feel about it?
Yeah.
And when it's off-prem, you don't really know unless you have a tool like Ovation, because that's like the manager, the perfect manager coming up and saying, how was everything?
Yeah.
Because typically without Ovation, what happens? You say, how was everything? And if it was good, they say, it was good.
Yeah.
And if it was bad, they say, it was good.
Right.
And then go leave you 1-star review.
Yep.
And it's just, there's a better way. And that's something that we've been really pushing for, is helping people, whether or not they even use Ovation, just understand that hospitality is a multi-channel initiative, not just for the people that are dining in.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize you had Will on your podcast. I'm going to have to watch that. I just saw him spoke 2 weeks ago at Gary Vaynerchuk's conference, VCon, and the unreasonable hospitality. But it was amazing. And he had a great point. Something simple at his fine dining restaurant in New York. He overheard some customers from out of town talking about how they ate. They were from England. They ate at all the finest restaurants.
But they hadn't had a hot dog.
Yeah. And then he got him a hot dog. And he's like, for the $2 or $5 I spent, and then had the chef cut it up and give him the hot dog. And he said they were talking about that more than buckets of caviar that he could have given them, and champagne and stuff. And it just goes down.
And that's the thing, right? Is that what I'm saying is, with the rock bottom expectations, it doesn't take a lot of money. It just takes a little bit of care.
Yep.
And if you can care and you can prove to that guest that you care, to me, that is the definition of hospitality, proving to the guest you care.
Yep.
And if they say, that restaurant's really cool, like I like how I felt at that place, or they got my order wrong, but they texted it, they owned up to it, they refunded me, and they gave me a coupon, like, that's pretty cool. Like,
at least I'll try it again.
I can trust that even when this place messes up and I don't get my money's worth, they'll make it right.
Right.
And that trust is what creates loyalty.
Yep.
More so than getting your 10th burrito free.
Right.
That connection is what creates true loyalty.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm going to have to watch that episode.
It's coming out soon.
Okay.
But we just recorded it last week.
Okay, cool.
It was amazing.
Cool.
He's just
That's
such a rock star.
Yeah, he's amazing. So prior to recording, we were talking about some of the value, and you've touched on this already a little bit, the value of retaining customers. And, operators focus so much on getting the new customer, but really the value, if you could talk a little bit about the value you're seeing, and it's switching a customer's perception, trying to win them back, and how is that something operators should be looking into and trying to do?
It is 5 to 25 times more expensive to get a net new customer than to get one coming back. And if you could increase your customer retention by 5%, you could increase your profits by almost 95%. So this concept of retention is so key, especially today, where it has never been in the history of restaurants, it has never been more expensive to get a new guest in. There's more competition, there's more marketing, there's more dollars spent at trying to get someone to come into the restaurant. And yet the average retention rate, as I said before, is 30%. You do all of this work and you get a third of them back.
Right.
I mean, that's really, really painful.
Yeah.
And so what are our retention efforts? And often we look at our retention efforts and we think, well, yeah, but that's like part of what operations should be doing, is just creating a great guest experience. But if everything that we're doing is to create a great guest experience, shouldn't we be measuring that?
Right.
And shouldn't we be measuring it in a way that's actually the way that guests want to communicate with us?
Right.
And so that's the whole concept, is you want to connect with your guests, you want to hear them out, and you want to recover them, because that is your biggest opportunity to increase profit, is through retention.
Yep.
And you don't have to go and manufacture these negative experiences. Mistakes happen.
Yeah.
Right? Because people, when I show them the data about how valuable a recovered guest is, they're like, oh, well, let's like purposely make mistakes. Don't worry about that, right? We're all a team of humans, and mistakes happen, but it's about having the right tools to own up to it, to win them back. And that is in 24 and going into 25, that is our biggest opportunity to win, is with retention. Yep. And every restaurant should be measuring and obsessing about recency, frequency, spend, and advocacy. Those are the 4 pillars of loyalty. It used to just be recency, frequency, spend. But man, if you get a customer out there advocating for you, posting on social media, leaving you 5-star reviews, that is worth gold.
Yep. That's, and with the new media out there, that's where you turn to for any referrals now, is your network, and you log into social media. And if somebody's talking about a new restaurant, you're going to go try that. Well,
and most people trust online reviews more than they trust recommendations from friends or family.
Okay.
Because they figure, it's 30,000 Frenchmen can't be wrong, right?
Yeah.
And so let's go there and look at what is the public saying about it.
And I think what you were talking about is the next step from online reviews. It's, hey, I had dinner. It's a social media post. I had dinner at this restaurant, had a great experience. You need to try this dish. That is what's gold. If somebody reads that, you're going to go. And at least you're going to file it in your mind, like, hey, I need to go back there. You're going to try it when you see your network
100%,
talking about
100%.
it. And versus, and I think the online, the mass review sites, everybody looks at that if you're new to town. But if you can get that, people talking about your restaurant, your brand in social media. And to your point too, like if something didn't work out well and you recovered from it, got them back, that's something probably somebody's going to post on social media, a little more likely to write about that.
Exactly. And keep in mind, though, that these Google reviews are not just if you're new to town, but also if you're searching for lunch near me, dinner around, best burgers in town. Like, these are searches that Google will look at what is the velocity of positive reviews and the propensity of negative experiences. And they'll take those social signals on Google reviews, Facebook, Yelp, TripAdvisor, and that will affect where your restaurant shows up. And I think that's really key to remember, is that and even with large brands, I mean, I remember we did a pilot with a very, very large company. I mean, one of the biggest restaurant companies, and we signed up 600-700 locations because we did a pilot in a specific city. And their whole thing was, online reviews don't matter to us because everybody knows who we are. So we tested it out. We did a pilot, picked a city, and we split it in half using Ovation, half not using Ovation. same area manager, same marketing, similar revenues beforehand, similar growth beforehand, similar sales reviews beforehand, similar online reviews beforehand. And what happened is after 4 months, the stores that had no usage of Ovation saw a 7% dip in revenue, which was congruent with other restaurants in the area. And stores that had a high utilization of Ovation saw a 9% jump in revenue. The only difference was Ovation, right? Because online reviews matter no matter how big your brand.
Yeah. That's amazing. Couple more questions and I'll let you go. I know you got a flight today, but text messaging, any other thoughts on that? I'm starting to wrap my mind around that, and whether, is it a necessity that every operator have that incorporated for this feedback? And then how about using that to proactively push out deals to customers or remind them that you're there and have to come in tonight for dinner? Any other thoughts on that?
There is no reason that a restaurant who wants more customers shouldn't be texting their guests.
Okay.
There's no reason. Not everyone will want that, but some will.
Okay.
And if you can test it out, and one of the great things about, we're talking about how we're collecting the email addresses, but we're also collecting phone numbers to do marketing. And as you test out text marketing, what we've found is that you can drive a huge amount of ROI today and tomorrow. So you need to make sure that when you're texting your guests, it's for an immediate, like today, tomorrow. So what we find is if you want to do a lunch dinner, text in the morning on day one and say, come in for a $5 burrito today, tomorrow only. And then boom, you hit the lunch rush, the dinner rush, and people who are planning on it can do a lunch or a dinner the next day. And those are the things that are going to drive revenue. And if you're doing that and you're getting a 10x ROI, why would you not keep doing it?
Right.
It's driving recency. It's driving frequency.
Yep.
And so that's what we're really thinking about as we're looking at text marketing is test it.
Okay.
And one of the great things to do is if you're collecting feedback, you can collect those phone numbers so you can test it.
Yeah. And that's the great, to your point, it's an opt-in too.
Yes.
So it's not, you're not spamming people with text messages. It's, can I message you?
And
Do you
every
sign up
text
for my
message
text message?
says stop to opt out.
Yeah. Everybody knows that too.
Everybody knows how to opt out. And we remind them at the bottom of every single marketing message.
Right. And so you're meeting them where they want to be met at.
Exactly.
And that's great. Well, thanks for taking out the time to
thanks for having me.
Come talk with us. Yeah, it was fascinating, and we'll have you back on the podcast here shortly.
Okay, would love to.
Yeah, thanks, Zach.
Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others. Stay tuned for more insights here on The Prosper Brief.